tonight, the Shabbat, right before Pesach, is known as Shabbat Hagadol, the big Shabbat, the great Shabbat. There are various explanations for the title, but my favorite is that it's called Shabbat Hagadol because traditionally the rabbi would give an extra long sermon in order to instruct the congregation on all the laws of Passover. So sit back and relax, because we're going to be here a while. I'm just kidding. Passover is a holiday of many laws and many meanings. Commanded to retell the story every year, we're not given a simple storybook to recite. Instead, we have the layered, multivocal Haggadah, and a Seder replete with symbols and narratives and metaphors upon metaphors. There are always new questions to ask and new insights to discover. If we were to explore them all, we really would be here all night. So tonight I want to talk about just one section of the Seder that I think speaks to the moment we're in. The section is called Yachatz, the breaking of the middle matzah. Yachatz is a striking moment towards the beginning of the Seder. There are no words associated with this step. No blessing to offer, no song or lengthy midrash. The only sound we hear is the crack as the Seder leader splits the matzah in two. The symbolism is unmistakable. Our story begins in brokenness. Matzah is lechem oni, the bread of affliction, the poor person's bread. Not only are we eating the bread of poverty, but we don't even eat all of it. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs notes, one who is so poor that he does not know where his next meal is coming from does not eat all his food at once. He divides it into two, saving half for later. The larger piece will be set aside as the afikomen, and the smaller piece is returned to the middle of the pile of matzah to be eaten during the meal. Notice that the matzah is divided into two unequal parts, as if to further remind us of the brokenness that comes from inequality and injustice. If you're feeling that the world is especially broken these days, you're not alone. Every generation has its trials and tribulations, but brokenness seems to be not just an unfortunate byproduct or consequence of our current government's policies, but the strategy itself. Breaking things is a feature, not a bug. I know, I'm upset about it too. So whether it's Elon Musk with a chainsaw or President Trump playing with the stock market like a yo-yo and telling us to just be cool, our leaders seem to be reveling in the brokenness. Meanwhile, innocent people are being imprisoned or deported. Transgender people are being humiliated. Thousands of federal employees are losing their jobs. Scientific research is being defunded. And people across the globe who depended on us are sick and starving. We should probably break 100 matzahs tomorrow night. But as the great prophet Leonard Cohen reminds us, there's a crack in everything. That's where the light comes in. Yachatz, the breaking of the matzah, is the beginning of the story, not the end. The first piece of broken matzah is the lechem oni, the bread of poverty and affliction, that we will eat with maror as we recall the bitterness of slavery. But the other piece, the larger piece, is hidden away for later, as the afikomen, to be eaten at the end of the Seder, once the children have found it. The second piece of matzah is no longer the bread of affliction. Now it is the bread of liberation, the matzah that the Israelites baked in a hurry on their way out of Egypt. The afikomen is a great symbol of liberation. It is challenging. The word sounds like Greek, and no one really knows what it means. It is elusive, shown at the beginning of the Seder and then hidden away. It is dependent upon children who either search for it or steal it, depending on your custom. It is essential. We cannot finish the Seder without it. And it is enduring. The afikomen is the last thing we eat at the Seder, so that we'll leave with the taste of liberation on our tongues. Now we might very well ask, how exactly do we get from point A to point B, from the bread of affliction to the bread of liberation, from brokenness to wholeness, or at least to less brokenness? Again, the Seder itself is instructive. Here are just a few thoughts. First, the path to freedom is a long and winding road. Just as the Haggadah doesn't tell the story of the liberation from Egypt in a straightforward manner, so our journey is going to take a while and have plenty of twists and turns along the way. Accepting this fact, being patient with this fact, will help us remain committed to traveling along the path. Second, we are going to have to ask a lot of questions. Questions about the past, like how the heck did we get into this mess? Questions about the present, as we demand that our leaders are held accountable for their words and actions. And questions about the future, as we envision the society we want to live in and ask, how can I contribute to making that vision a reality? Rabbi Stephen Greenberg writes, "Tyrants are undone and liberty is won with a good question." I think he might be overly optimistic, but it's certainly worth a try. Third, it's going to take all of us. Right after we break the middle matzah, we open the doors and say, "Let all who are hungry come and eat. All who are in need celebrate Pesach with us. This year we are still slaves. Next year, free people." Rabbi Jonathan Sachs writes, "What transforms the bread of oppression into the bread of freedom is the willingness to share it with others. Sharing food is the first act through which slaves become free human beings. One who fears tomorrow does not offer his bread to others. But one who is willing to divide his food with a stranger has already shown himself capable of fellowship and faith, the two things from which hope is born." Just as we share the Passover meal with others, so do we share the struggle for liberation, knowing that none are free until all are free. And one final lesson from the Seder, perhaps the most important. Ultimate redemption may not come until Elijah himself arrives to announce the coming of the Messiah. But the beginning of redemption is right here, right now. It's called matzo ball soup. Shabbat shalom and Chag Sameach.